All right, everybody should have gotten notification that this webinar is being recorded. This is the webinar for parts and service employees. What we will be focusing on during this webinar is going to be MotilityAnywhere and the changes between MotilityAnywhere and the Infinity program. So this is geared specifically for Infinity users that are changing over to the MotilityAnywhere system. So when we first sign in to the program, I'm just going to give a quick recap of what this front screen does. Over on the left side, it's going to show current history for the signed in user, any recent documents, deals, invoices, parts, things like that that you've been in. Very easy way to pick up where you left off. Over on the right, if your dealership has multiple rooftops, each rooftop will become its own tab over here. And each tab will contain its own modules within. So I'm going to go ahead and open up the parts and service module. Now, just like in Infinity, a lot of your navigation is going to be on the left side, and I will run through that pretty quickly. But up at the top, you do have several options. The little house in the upper left is your home screen. If you click the little house, you will get the same main menu screen if you need access to a different module. Also across the top, it does show which rooftop we are currently using and the rooftop name. We have a search bar where we can go ahead, type in a search and click search to go ahead and look through our parts and service module for things that meet that criteria. We also have an advanced search. Now, advanced searches allow you to get pretty deep. And as long as you know which area that you're looking in, you can get pretty in depth on any of these. So once you've entered in your information in this top section, you click search and it will show you a list of results in this table below. You can double click on the row for the record that you wish to open and it will open it up for you. Also running across the top bar, you have a little exclamation point. If you run into problems, you have questions, concerns, you can click this exclamation point as a quick and easy way to get in touch with the support team. Also at the top, you have a little bell icon. The bell icon is going to show any notifications for the logged in user. I have a whole bunch of notifications, so you'll see a lot of different things going on in mine. Also, in the upper right, you have a little user icon. The user icon is where a lot of the setup has moved. Your setup for instance, drop-down options, like specifically, we'll talk about parts, but selling packaging, purchase packaging, all of that will be contained within the settings in the app settings for parts and service. On the far upper right is a little time clock. You can click the time clock to clock in or clock out. And I am clocked in, so the only option that highlights for me is clock out. When you first open up the parts and service module, you will see the last invoicing list that you were on. I was last in parts invoicing. So I can see my parts invoicing list. And the buttons have moved from Infinity, they were in the lower left, and in MotilityAnywhere, they are in the upper left, where you can change between the different invoice types. So you can change between quotes, open invoices, closed and not cashed out invoices, closed and cashed out invoices, and voided invoices. So the parts invoicing list is the view of those. Now, that is listed over here on the left under parts invoicing. Service invoicing shows a little bit lower under service views. Now, to create new parts quotes and parts invoices, we can go ahead and select whichever option that we wish to use. I'm going to go ahead and start off as a quote. This is a quick walkthrough. I'm not going to get too in-depth, but I want to walk you through these different screens. The look has changed slightly between Infinity and MotilityAnywhere. You will see the customer information is now in the upper left. Now, if you open up the screen and it doesn't quite look like this at the top, I have what's called Advanced View turned on. I like it. It lays things out a little bit more in columns. If you do open up a record and it does not look like this, you can find the Advanced View checkbox over under the user icon. That's what it'll look like without the Advanced View on. And that's what it looks like with the Advanced View enabled. So we would go ahead, input our customer information. We can add an existing customer. We can add a new customer and search through our current database, or we can apply internal to the ticket. The part ticket information does not change over here on the right. It's very much laid out the same as Infinity. It's just kind of condensed down in one little area. As we scroll down, we will see where we add parts to the ticket. So we have a couple of different ways that we can add them. I can type in the part number if I know that part number. If we have a barcode scanner, I can click in that part number field and scan that barcode to add the part. I also have the ellipsis button to search for parts. So clicking the ellipsis button will open up a part search window. You can type in what it is you would like to search and what we're searching by. Click to search. It's going to show all records that meet that criteria. Just like in Infinity, you can double click over it to move it down to this lower section, or click once and hit select, add parts, and they will be added to the invoice for you. When we highlight a part over on the left-hand side, you're going to see the part information over on the right. So super straightforward, just like in Infinity, where it showed down at the very bottom of the screen. Now the highlighted part info shows to the right. Just like in Infinity, you can open up the master inventory record. You can choose which bin you're pulling it from. If this is a part being added that you do not have on hand, you can add parts to the order list or order directly right from here. So you will notice the buttons are pretty much the same. They're just in slightly different places for MotilityAnywhere. And down at the bottom, we have the full breakdown as normal in the system. Okay, let me go ahead and get out of parts invoicing. All right, so that is the new parts quote and parts invoice. Now, next up is service estimates and repairs, which we will get into, but I do want to run through a little bit more on the parts side real quick. So as we scroll down the side, we can see our parts pick list. These are going to be the parts that we can grab off the shelf for current repairs. We can see our parts requests coming in from our technicians. And these are lists. And when you're in the list, you can see the information on the requests, and double clicking over the record will open up the invoice. This works exactly the same as the Infinity system. Parts picking, same thing. It's going to show a list and all that information. We can go ahead and double click to pop open that record. Okay, before I get into ordering parts, because I am going to run through that super fast, I do want to go ahead and talk about the master inventory. So the look of master inventory has changed. It's now down under your tools. Okay, so in your parts maintenance, you'll find your parts master inventory. This is also where you can find where you can start a physical inventory count. As we get towards the end of the year, it becomes super important. If you have cores set up in the system, you can do your core maintenance right from here, upload price books, view price books, create parts kits, and add new suppliers. So these are things that were all available in Infinity, but in slightly different areas. So they put them all in one spot to make life a little bit easier for you so we can find things a little bit quicker. I'm going to go ahead and open up the master inventory. So this automatically opens up a search. If we know a part number, type it in and hit search. Otherwise, we can enter in any criteria up top to search for parts. Parts that meet the criteria will show in the list below. We can click once and hit open. We can double click over the record to open the part record. Or if the part doesn't exist, we can actually go ahead and start the process to add a new part right from here. Normally, you will only add parts that are not part of a price book, just like in Infinity. So let's take a quick look at the part record. So another thing to notice the layout. This is with the advanced view. Again, if you do not have advanced view turned on, the record's going to look a little bit different. So I do recommend checking that box. It makes things nice and easy for me, at least. So that way it shows all the information for the part on the record in a column layout. So just like the Infinity system, it has all those same fields shown. So we can actually see the quantity information. The view button will go ahead and open up the what's on hand. Now, if you are multiple rooftops, it does, just like in Infinity, show you the on-hand quantities for all locations, as long as you have permissions. Sorry. The total allocated view button will open up to let you see where these parts have been allocated. The pricing section really has not changed. It moved from way over on the right side in Infinity to a little bit more easy to read on the left side for you in MotilityAnywhere. Ordering and shipping information, again, exact same layout as the Infinity system. A little bit of rearranging from right-hand column to center column, but overall the exact same information. As we scroll down, we do have invoice reminders and memos, and that has not changed from the Infinity program. We can open the price book to view the part right from here. The check boxes, again, exact same options as available in the Infinity system. Your bin location views right here, and your pricing views also unchanged. Now your bin locations tab going to look super familiar because it's the exact same. Same thing as the pricing info as well. So bear in mind that the MotilityAnywhere system, it is a newer platform. Sometimes the buttons have moved around a little bit, but in general, it is based on the same thing as the Infinity program. So all that same information you can find on the individual tabs that they were in Infinity. So the buttons at the bottom, again, have not changed. If you have, for instance, an MSDS that you need to upload, you can upload documents and view documents for the part right from here. You can view transaction history. You can print that out. You can start the process to add a new part and double check for duplicates right from here as well. So again, I'm not going to go super deep in on anything because we got a lot to go through here. So I'm going to go ahead and get out of that parts master inventory record. All right, so ordering parts, the process is exactly the same in MotilityAnywhere as it was in Infinity. You'll open up your order list. Any parts that have been added to the order list from invoices, suggested reorder numbers, minimums and maximums entered on parts will show in this list. So in this list, you can manually add parts if needed. Simply click to add a part. It adds a new row, put in your information, and you're ready to move forward. Looking at the buttons on here, again, view allocation, pulling in the suggested reorder numbers, printing out those suggested reorder numbers and removing those. Again, buttons all in infinity, nothing has changed. If you're creating a transfer purchase order, you can create one right from here as well. And a purchase order from suppliers, you can create right here as well. Again, if you have questions, you can feel free to drop them into the chat or the Q&A. Parts physical inventory, again, exact same as the Infinity program. It did move this out from underneath the tools to go ahead and display here, but it is the exact same process, shows you a list of previously run physical inventories and allows you to go ahead and start a new one right from here. One nice update is when you choose a type, it will actually give you a little note about what the physical count is for and help kind of guide you through starting a physical count. Okay, if you have any questions on the parts section, definitely feel free, drop a note into either the chat or the Q&A. I am going to go ahead and progress forward into the service side a little bit more in depth. So that way we can go ahead and run through that. I am going to give it just 1 minute. If you are typing, go ahead. I'm going to give it just 1 minute. I'm going to grab a quick drink of coffee and wait for any questions to come in for the parts side. All right, I don't see any questions coming in, so I am going to move forward. Again, if you do have questions, definitely feel free to type those into the Q&A or the chat, and I can address those as we go. So we're going to talk a little bit about service invoicing as well. So the service invoicing list is over here under the service views. And in this list, again, the buttons have moved from the lower left to the top. So you can change between viewing quotes, open invoices, closed and not cashed out, closed, cashed out, voided, and warranty clerk invoices. This is pretty straightforward. It's going to be super familiar to everybody who's worked in Infinity before, but we can create a new repair estimate. This is the quote for services, or a new repair order. This is an open invoice for services right from here. I'm going to go ahead and start a new estimate. Okay, so same thing in the MotilityAnywhere system as in Infinity. We will want to go ahead and put in that customer information. You do have the option to apply the internal dealership customer, add an existing customer, or create a new customer right from here. Since I didn't cover adding a new customer in the last one, I'm going to go ahead and just kind of walk you through that here. So if we click new, this is going to pull up a duplicate search. So as we go ahead and type in customer name, it's going to look for any possible duplicates. So if I go ahead and type away, this customer already exists. So I can actually go ahead and double click over them to use them. Or if I double check phone numbers and it's a different phone number, different address entirely, I may actually go ahead and have to create a brand new customer record. So the nice thing is, as I enter more information into the fields above, it's going to narrow and narrow our list of possible duplicates. And if there are no duplicates found, you can select create new. This is going to go ahead and I'm going to just do a quick change here. So we don't have a Savannah Wilson. And that's all I'm going to put in for right now. We're going to go ahead and create new. And it's going to go ahead and open up that entity or customer record where we can go ahead and put in their information. Now it is going to convey the information that I entered as part of the search. So you'll see it did go ahead and populate the first name, last name, and phone number. And just like in the Infinity system, we have all the tabs for CRM, depending on your permissions, and current customer vehicles should be entered under the Vehicles tab. Now, just in the expediency, I'm not going to add a vehicle to this customer at this time. I'm just going to save the customer record and exit. And you'll see the customer is now selected in the upper left of the invoice. So the fields, again, in the top right here, these are not different than they were in Infinity. So if we do need to update the status, if we need to edit the employee or the service advisor, we can do all of that right from here. Our repair codes and repair lines are listed towards the upper left. Now, because I have a smaller screen, I value my real estate. I'm going to actually go ahead towards the upper right. I'm going to click Show Less. That's going to go ahead and collapse this top section down into a smaller bar and make it a little bit easier for us to look at the whole screen. If I do need to expand this back out, I can click Show More or Show Less to collapse. So adding new repairs, I can go ahead and start typing in whatever the concern is. The other ways that I can add in repair codes, it can exact same as Infinity. If I am using repair codes, I can click Add Repair to add a new line. I can punch in that repair code number, or I can hit the little ellipsis button to search for a repair code, which is good because I don't know those off the top of my head. And it doesn't look like oh, there we go. And I'll go ahead and add a repair code. The other ways that I can add quickly jobs are your canned jobs. So I can go ahead and choose my canned jobs to add one or more jobs at a time. Again, exact same as the Infinity system. Okay. So each of the repairs does get its own repair number, just like in Infinity. We can do add different parts to the repair and have it track per repair what parts are needed. The nice thing is, if I want to go ahead and do different things per repair in the MotilityAnywhere system, I can upload documents for a repair. I can go ahead and view documents for a repair. Now, that is actually kind of nice because this allows you to do repair pictures. So super nice when it's a warranty type job to go ahead and have pictures of that repair. So I'm going to just drop down just a touch here. The cause and correction are below. Usually the mechanic is filling this out. The vehicle, if the customer has a vehicle entered on the Vehicles tab, will show in this drop down. You can search for the vehicle right from here as well. Once a vehicle has been selected, you can actually click Repair History to view the history on that unit. On the right-hand side of the screen, you still have all the lovely tabs that Infinity had for you. It does break them down slightly differently. So on here, this is your mechanic table. You can add a mechanic here. You also have the option under the jobs to apply mechanic to jobs. So again, exact same as the Infinity system. If this is a repair code and you're using flat rates, You can see it did fill in that information. Otherwise, you'll just need to make sure that your estimated time has been entered. Flag times, this is where you're going to see where the mechanics have clocked in and clocked out on the repair. The schedule tab can be used to go ahead, again, entering in the estimated hours and be able to go ahead and schedule, just like in Infinity, onto your mechanic dispatch calendar. Parts requests is where your mechanics are putting in parts requests. Notes are internal or external notes. So again, nothing's really changed in the programs or between Infinity and MotilityAnywhere, just a little bit of rearranging for you. One nice thing is the vehicle info over here on the right is more detailed information about the vehicle that was chosen here. So if the insurance and other information has been entered on the unit, it will show here. The vehicle warranty tab is going to show any warranty information that has been entered either in the vehicles tab or was included when the unit was sold through your dealership. So super nice if you guys are selling units and servicing those units, you'll actually be able to see all of that warranty information as long as it was added to the unit when it was sold. We can change the job types again, just as we could inside the Infinity system. Selecting those different types does change just a little bit in the right-hand side. So selecting warranty, again, you do need to choose that warranty company. You can choose your approval status. You can mark it submitted, and then your warranty clerk will have access. So really not much has changed there. Down in this lower section is where we can add parts per repair. So we can choose to add part. It'll add a lovely blank line for us here. We add parts to service invoices the exact same way that we do to parts invoices, where we can punch in a part number. We can assign that repair number and change it if needed. We can also go ahead and click the ellipsis button in this little column to go ahead and search for parts and be able to add them quickly and easily. So just like in the Infinity system, parts that get added here will need to be relieved, meaning pulled off your shelf. Also from here, just like in a parts invoice, we can go ahead and order parts or add them to the order list. We can add parts kits. So any collections of parts that are often sold together can happen right from there. And down at the bottom, we have our breakdown. So this is exactly the same as it was in Infinity, that you can view the totals. You can view totals by customer pay, by warranty, by internal. We also have additional fields where if you had any comments that you need to add to the invoice, or if you're working with somebody who's tracking by job and sub-job numbers. So the buttons down at the very bottom have not changed. So if you did need to split this invoice and possibly we want the warranty job on its own ticket, we can choose to split and move the warranty job. Notice it does show you the job type, super helpful. You can go ahead and choose to split the warranty work away from the retail jobs. Cashing out, exact same as the Infinity system. It will go ahead and bring us to the sales register. Same thing as taking a deposit. So if you go to take a deposit, it wants the amount that they're depositing. I'm just going to go ahead and put in some amount so I can show you guys what happens here. We can then cash out if we are handling the money ourselves. If we have a centralized cashier, we can send to cashier, and just like the Infinity program. So when you choose to cash out, it brings you to the sales register screen. So over on the left side, customer information, information about the invoice, totals over here on the left. Over on the right, it's going to show the cash drawer that you are assigned to or opened up under your name. If you have a credit card terminal, you can make sure it is selected here. Then taking money works the exact same way. We can choose how the customer is giving us money by selecting the payment method from the little boxes. Then we can enter in the amount. Now, for instance, if this customer wanted to give me not $20 in cash, but $10 in cash, and then I'm going to go ahead and just collapse this top section by clicking, I can add an additional payment type, just like in the Infinity system. So I can go ahead and take the additional money as a check. Again, the amount, I can type it in. If it's the full amount, I can hit the little lightning bolt here to have it populate for me. If I have a memo or a check number to put in, I can go ahead and put that in, and then I can choose to print. This is going to open up a print preview of the invoice, and I have mine set up to pull up a preview of the receipt as well. So it will go ahead and pull those up in pop-up windows on your browser. But just like the Infinity system, once you click print, it will close out of the sales register and return you back to the invoice. So the other buttons at the bottom, exact same. If you discount, you can discount parts and or services on the invoice, a percentage amount. You do still have the option to do the dollar amount discount on parts. Hours, if you do need to view or edit those hours clocked on those jobs, you can view them all right from there. Again, documents here are for the entire invoice, and that's just a little bit different if we are doing per repair pictures or documents. So you can do per repair here and per invoice, the whole thing right from here. So looking at the views, we do have the views of, again, the warranty clerk for warranty jobs, and then warranty credits for if your warranty person, not accounting, but your warranty person takes in those warranty checks. So exact same options as the Infinity system. They're, again, just slightly rearranged. Now, my repairs is going to show any repairs assigned to me. Now, I'm not a mechanic, so I'm not going to have any, so I'm not going to click on that. It would be blank. So a little bit, again, just a nice little option. Now, the cashier section, if you have a centralized cashier, it's an easy way for your cashier to get to the screens that they need for them to cash out deposits, invoices, and reprint payments made on account. Now, the parts allocation screen is moved down just a little bit. Remember, allocated parts are the ones that are put on open invoices, so they will show right in this list. A little difference down below in the tools area for services, you will actually see we put all of the calendars kind of side by side for you. So you have your service advisor calendar, your service dispatching, this is your mechanic calendar, and your sublet calendar. So instead of being in a couple different spots, these are now all in one easy place so that you can go ahead and navigate through them. Each of the calendars looks very similar and acts pretty much the same way if you need to do things. Now, the advisor calendar, basically, we can actually start out a invoice right from here. All you would need to do is double click, and it actually wants to go ahead and add a new appointment for the date and time that we clicked. It will also let us go ahead and add a reminder for ourselves on our calendar too. So on the calendars, again, just like in Infinity, a lot of those buttons that were in the lower left in Infinity are now in the lower right in MotilityAnywhere. So you can set employee hours, designate holidays, you can email appointment reminders. All of the things that you could do in the lower left are now just moved over to the lower right. If you have highlighted an appointment, you can view the appointment history. You can print out the view that you are looking at here. So just bear that in mind. This is the day view. I can change to the week view. I can change to the month view. I also have the agenda or schedule, which is going to list out the next 7 to 10 days right here in a list format. So those are those calendars. The service dispatching, again, will get filled up as you click to schedule individual jobs to mechanics. And the sublet calendar, just like in the Infinity system, if you wanted to put all of your sublets to happen in one day, then you can go ahead and use that as a tool to do so. All right, so some of the things that were tucked away under the edit menu and the tools menu up for services is now over here on the left-hand side under service maintenance. So setting up your dealership customer information, again, security permissions rule the world. You may not have access to this. Warranty companies, you can add warranty companies right from here. Your canned jobs, adding and modifying canned jobs moved out of that edit menu, and they are over here on the left side. Same thing with repair codes, again, also moved out from over there. The recalculation, again, security permissions, you may not have that access. The voiding old appointments, you can do also from here. Other cashier things, if you are taking payments on account, if you need to open or close your cash drawer. Now, the first time that you access the cash drawer, it will ask you to open it. And if you are sharing a cash drawer with other users, it will let you know that the cash drawer may already be opened by somebody else and you will be sharing that. If you've made changes, the little history over here will actually show a record of those changes per day. So I haven't made any changes in the last week, but it will show a change records per day. That concludes the webinar for changeover from Infinity to MotilityAnywhere and a highlight of the different screens and options. The one thing to bear in mind is that you will notice some of the options that were tucked away under the edit menu, for instance, like adding new purchase packaging to items, that these have been moved under the settings, and I will hop in there in just a second. So a question just came over about having the lines be color coded like it was in Infinity. Now, right now, there is not a way to do that. However, the status field, which I'm going to click and drag over to the left, is color coded. Now, right now, it's just showing 1, because that's my quotes. But when you are looking at your invoices, you can see the different colors right from there. And that's just really nice to be able to see those statuses all at once. Now, you saw I clicked and dragged, so I can click and drag these rows to be anywhere that I'd like them to be in my listing. And if there is something that I don't feel I need to see in my list, I can click the ellipsis button on any one of these column headers, hover over columns, and check and uncheck the different options to show. Now, this updates it just for me. So I can have different things showing than other people. And again, all I need to do is go ahead and check and uncheck to have things appear and disappear. Now, once you've rearranged, added, and modified this list to be the way that you want, you can click Save Layout over here in the lower right to go ahead and save the layout again for yourself. So the whole line cannot be color-coded at this time, but the status field does contain that color coding. This little button right here in the center is a slide. Now, if I click on just once on one above, it shows me a preview of the actual record, but I can click and drag this down to be able to go ahead and expand my list. So I can see a whole lot more in one spot than just those couple rows that I was showing. The next question that came in was adjusting the height of each row. Unfortunately not. You can't just drag and move the height of the rows. However, something that you can do is if you are on a better monitor than mine, and you can see it a little bit more clearly, you can actually use your browser zooming to make things smaller or larger to be able to see more if needed. So you can use, again, this is your browser zooming to go ahead and do that, making things smaller and larger. You also do have, if you're having a hard time with the text, we have a text size slider over here. Now this only increases and decreases text size on different certain things. And I'm usually making things larger, not smaller, but you can do that. Well, this will go ahead and wrap up the parts and service webinar for Motility Anywhere. Again, the functions are pretty much exactly the same as the Infinity system. The buttons have rearranged slightly, but they have made things a little bit more effective by moving more options to this screen on the left-hand side. All right, if you do have ongoing questions, please do feel free to reach out. That is what we are here for. Otherwise, I am going to go ahead and end this webinar. I hope everybody has a wonderful day.